Today on the Morning Edition, after the devastating remnants of Typhoon Halong swept across western Alaska, destroying property and leaving destruction in its wake, the state of Alaska is coming together with a massive response, the largest off-road response in over 45 years. Plus, the Mariners are in one of the strongest positions they've ever been in the postseason, taking a 2-0 lead in their series against Toronto. And later, if you've ever been tempted to launch a pumpkin with a trebuchet into a river or attempting to hit small boats manned by mannequins, I have just the event for you. You'll be supporting a good cause, breast cancer research. We'll take a look as the Morning Edition starts now. Good Tuesday morning, everyone. Thanks for waking up with us today. Western Alaska isn't done yet with the severe weather.
Yeah, we're still expected to see another storm, although with that said, this next storm moving in will be a lot weaker than the previous two storms that we have been dealing with, and will primarily take aim on the southern coastline and through areas of southwest Alaska. Now, we're waking up this morning here in Anchorage with some ongoing light rain that has been with us through the night. We will favor some ongoing rain showers through at least the early afternoon before we do see some sunshine making a return. 43 is what we're currently sitting at. We are still awaiting our first official freeze of the season, which as of this morning looks likely that it's going to be one of the second latest ever recorded, but it does look likely that we'll hit it later this week into the weekend. Light rain showers continue through the valley as well as out towards eastern parts of Prince William Sound. We've got 30s and 40s across south central. Areas of the western Kenai approaching freezing this morning, so we have seen some locations already this season where temperatures have managed to dip down near or below freezing. But for Anchorage, we've yet to officially hit that, as the coldest we've been is 35 degrees. But we're still holding on to that rain this morning, while most of the rain is favoring eastern parts of Prince William Sound into the valley. As you head out towards Hatcher Pass and areas to the northeast, we are likely seeing some additional snow that is falling this morning. But across the rest of south central, all of us are seeing either some dry conditions or some light rain showers that remain in the forecast. This is our next storm system we're watching that's going to lead to some strong winds through the Aleutians later today. Now, as that begins to approach mainland Alaska, this storm system will not be as strong. It will bring some strong winds, though, through the Aleutians, where we could see gusts up to 70 miles per hour. And there is the potential that we could see some minor flooding for areas of southwest out towards Kipnuk. We could see water levels about 1 to 2 feet above the normal high tide line. So no significant flooding, but we could see some minor flooding potential. Temperatures today expected to warm upper 40s to near 50 degrees, with that rain gradually tapering off, and some sunshine will make a return throughout the day. I'll have more on that in that 7-day forecast.
In today's top story, a state united in response after Halong's destructive force swept across western Alaska. The full weight of Alaska's government and its federal partners is now in motion. Every resource is being deployed to protect lives and to start the long road to recovery. The National Guard is coordinating more than 50 organizations. It's what they call the largest off-road response in more than 45 years. The governor says support is pouring in from FEMA, the Department of Homeland Security, and even the White House, all focused on one priority: saving lives and keeping people safe.
Yep. Our first move is to get people rescued. Second move is to get them to a safe shelter. If that safe shelter is in the community, the schools tend to function, as Commissioner Bishop said, as our lifeboats in the communities. If the community, school, or shelter, and we support the local incident command, that's our job. If the community, local school, or shelter is inadequate or unsustainable, then we move them to another place of shelter.
The small communities in western Alaska felt some of the worst parts of Halong. State crews are now working as fast as they can to assess damage across the communities affected.
Doing a lot of assessments. We've got 10 teams that are either on the ground or on their way, and we'll take a look at all the infrastructure in these communities: bridges, airports, roadways, and we'll get that all assessed, reported, and then while we're there, we can also take pictures and write up assessments for other things that we see. So it'll be a comprehensive effort.
The Department of Transportation adds that only the Kipnuk Airport is closed permanently at this time. In Kipnuk, reality became something unimaginable. Homes turned to boats, drifting through raging waters as families held on and hoped to survive. Now Joe Allgood reports their accounts reveal the chaos, the fear, and the fragile moments that separated life from tragedy.
It happened so quick. When I first saw them, my stomach got really tight because it didn't look real.
Speaking with Kipnuk resident Tristan Carl on the phone, he described the moment he saw his cousin and nephew floating away while standing in the doorway of their home, carried by the floodwaters of Typhoon Halong.
I was really shocked, and seeing them for a few seconds or so, and then they started drifting away. And my uncle was trying to jump out of our stairs to save his son, but I had to take him by the shoulder and I told him, no, it's not too safe.
Due to a weak Starlink connection, Carl was not able to share video, so what you're seeing are similar experiences of other residents. Carl himself was at home with 12 other family members, winds whipping outside, when the building shifted.
Everybody started shouting and screaming, but I was trying to stay composed and just to keep aware of where we were at, but it was too dark until I started recognizing some buildings, and our house actually floated.
After it settled down near their church, Carl was thankful they didn't float too far, but others were not so fortunate, floating as far as 4 or 5 bends upriver. Fortunately, everyone in Kipnuk is accounted for, but recovery is far from over.
Right now is trying to get enough for food and water, and for the response team, for a local response team, and was trying to get some radio, some sort of a communication so we can keep communicating with them.
Joe Allgood, Alaska's news source.
Public Safety Commissioner James Cockrell says 51 people have been rescued. The Coast Guard is also investigating reports of oil pollution, though the extent is still unclear. Governor Dunleavy says the state's priority remains life and safety. We go now to Delmi, who's standing by with how Indigenous cultures and history were celebrated across the state yesterday. Delmi.
Kristen, with the student population that's 20% Indigenous, the University of Alaska Fairbanks celebrated Indigenous Peoples Day with events going into the evening. Events such as fry bread, taco fundraisers, and elders panels mark the various festivities of the day. During the elders panel, topics such as tradition, education, and language were discussed. And from Fairbanks to Anchorage, Alaska Pacific University honored the first peoples of this land and their lasting legacy. As Justin Matson reports, the celebration showcased culture, pride, and unity across the state.
We have 229 tribes here in the state of Alaska with distinct cultures, distinct languages, distinct songs. Every group is every tribe, every region is going to be celebrating it a little bit differently. But the thing that is important is celebrating.
In Anchorage, Indigenous Peoples Day was celebrated by Alaska Pacific University.
It's about coming together, having a sense of community, getting out and working together. We try to weave Indigenous values and knowledge and the ways of teaching into all of the curriculum, and also to support all of our students.
Over in Fairbanks, one celebration brought students together. One of those students is Kate Crown.
Well, I mean, Indigenous Peoples Day is beautiful, and the fact that UAF allows us to all celebrate it together is the luckiest experience I've had.
For some, it takes on a deeper meaning, making individuals feel proud of their heritage, leading to stronger communities.
And seeing that kind of switch that occurs within them, where there's a realization that I can be proud about who I am. Alaska's not some untouched last frontier, but at the end of the day, it's a place where Alaska Native peoples have been since time immemorial.
Justin Matson, Alaska's news source.
A hand count of the Fairbanks North Star Borough ballots matched voting machine results exactly. After 5 hours of work, the Canvass Board verified ballots from randomly selected precincts and early voting sites. The hand count required by a new ordinance confirmed the machine's accuracy. To keep up with the extra work, the borough hired 2 additional board members to help complete the audit on time and check the eligibility of absentee and question ballots, some getting rejected this year.
And that's due to people not being registered to vote at all. Some people were registered to vote in different jurisdictions, which is not within the Fairbanks-Star borough. Some people registered too late. They registered after the 30-day deadline because it's required to be registered 30 days prior.
The final count of absentee and question ballots will take place in a public ceremony today at 2 p.m. at the borough's Assembly Chambers. When we return on the Morning Edition, our investigative team continues their look into drug trafficking here in Alaska and takes a look at Alaska's overdose death rates versus the national averages.
Some light rain showers continue across South Central with a gradual return to sunshine through the day, but we're watching our next storm system. I'll track that for you, but first at sunrise, 8:40 in Anchorage, 7:32 in Juneau. Your full forecast is next.
Welcome back. 14 minutes past the hour on this Tuesday morning. And Aaron, there's another storm headed towards western Alaska.
Yeah, and this one not as strong, but it will bring additional rounds of some winds and rain in the forecast. That third storm is currently in the Aleutians. That gusty winds and rain will move in here over the next couple of days. Now, the strongest winds will favor areas out towards the Aleutians, where we could see some gusts up to about 60 to 70 miles per hour. As that pushes northward through areas of southwest Alaska and here in South Central, those winds will diminish, but we could see portions of southwest Alaska where gusts up to 40 to 50 miles per hour will be possible, and that could lead to some minor flooding for areas of southwest as you head out towards the coast, where we could see water levels about 1 to 2 feet above the normal high tide line. So this will be a significantly weaker storm, but with the amount of devastation and the remnants of that, what was Typhoon Halong that impacted western and southwest Alaska, any incoming storm could cause spark some concern. But thankfully, this storm will be significantly weaker, but it will still lead to some winds and rain across the state. Now, notice the jet stream pattern as you head into the upper levels of the atmosphere. Notice how it kind of shifts to the east and then builds northward with that ridge as you head into portions of South Central and out towards southeast. So this area of low pressure is going to ride that ridge. It'll build into southeastern parts of the Bering Sea and then gradually shift eastward into western parts of the Gulf of Alaska. So this storm system taking more of a southerly track and not so much into the Bering Sea. So we're going to see some of the most of the rain and winds is going to stay along the southern coastline. But we will see some increasing winds for the Aleutians through the remainder of the day. Some winds gusting anywhere from about 50 to 70 miles per hour to be expected as that continues its journey up the Alaska Peninsula into the southeastern parts of the Bering Sea and into the Gulf of Alaska. These winds will diminish some, so we'll still see that potential for gusts up to about 40 to 50 miles per hour through areas of southwest Alaska, but we're not expecting any significant storm surge. We're largely just going to see some winds and rain spreading across the state, and these winds will quickly diminish as that storm system builds into the Gulf of Alaska by week's end. But we are going to see this rain steadily building eastward through the Aleutians and into the Alaska Peninsula later today and into the overnight hours. There's that rain building into southwest Alaska through the overnight time frame. So by the overnight hours into early tomorrow morning, this is where we could see that potential for some of those water levels out towards southwest Alaska to climb about 1 to 2 feet above the normal high tide line. So if that occurs, we'll see some minor flooding, but no significant concerns expected with this next storm system. This will spread rain into South Central as well as southeast as we welcome in our Wednesday and Thursday, and you can see kind of a showery regime taking hold through the end of this week. Now, as that storm system builds into the Gulf of Alaska, it will tap into some cooler weather, and so by week's end, many areas across the state will begin to cool off. In fact, here in South Central, we'll likely see the return to what's going to be some cooler weather. There is that potential by week's end that will officially drop down near that freezing mark. And Kristen, if that occurs, we're watching Saturday night into Sunday. It will be the second latest first freeze on record for Anchorage.
All right. Thanks, Aaron. Our investigative team continues covering how Alaska's geography is making it a prime target for drug traffickers. While nationally overdose deaths have dropped 25%, data reviewed by Alaska's news source shows that overdose deaths are high here in Alaska, even as most of the rest of the country improves. Rebecca Polsha reports.
Robert Lawrence. I'm the Chief Medical Officer for the Department of Health here in Alaska.
He knows the numbers, hears their names. He even knows how they died.
And then in 2023, there was a huge rise in the number of deaths, up to the 357. And if I could add, the tragic side of that story is what that 357 lives means.
357 lives. Deaths because of fentanyl.
I can't say that Alaska is at the top of the list, but we are in the top 10.
In some ways, there's a connection with all of us. Maybe a family member or friend, maybe the guy you see on the street.
At one point, I had a guy take a baseball bat to another guy in the back of my parking lot.
The thought of death is not necessarily a deterrent.
He had 4 nieces and nephews that he was a big part of their lives, and they're growing up without him. And there's nothing that's going to replace that. I mean, we were spending time in court instead of spending time with him.
According to the Department of Health, 1 of 5 Alaskans, 20%, suffer from some form of substance use disorder. In 2023, according to the Department of Health, about 13% of the people who died from an overdose had prescription drugs in their system, although those drugs were not necessarily prescribed for them. New numbers will be out soon.
We have many reasons for hope, but it is not time to stand down. This crisis is not over.
Rebecca Palsha, Alaska's news source.
If you have a tip for our investigative team, you can reach us at 2investigates@ktuu.com.
Thanks for listening to our podcast. Click subscribe so you can get the latest podcasts from Alaska's news source automatically and stay up to date with breaking news and in-depth reporting available for free 24/7 with the Alaska's news source app.